Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a wee nosy through my mail today? Just the first part of my mail today. A wee nosy, as the British booktubers, all of whom hate me, tend to say. We'll start off with two great literary journals that came at the same time. The London Review of Books and Bookform. And I go through these things not only to see which books are getting the full-page color ad treatment. That's interesting to know on its own right, where the advertising money is going. But also to see what's getting reviewed and who's doing the reviewing. So I won't drag you through all these. We'll just look at the table of contents. So the London Review of Books, which is one of the premier literary reviews in the world, in the English-speaking world anyway. We have, I want to see if there's anything, Shakespearean Forest by Anne Barton. I don't really think it deserves 4 pages of review, but Phantom Africa, The Weeping Time, the memory of the largest slave auction in history. Oh, fantastic. Oh, Stuart Middleton reviews Christopher Ermsher's book, biography of Max Eastman. What a book that was. Oh, fantastic. Good for him. It's a fantastic book. And I mean, Eastman is a largely forgotten figure now, so I was worried that it was not going to get any press other than the press I gave it. But there's another big review. That's great. Fantastic. And Theo Tate reviews The Adulterants, which I'm starting to hear all sorts of buzz about. I haven't actually even seen a copy of it myself yet. Great. Fantastic. All right, that's going to be a great issue, as always. And then Bookforum always has a lot more. It has more reviews. It's a packed thing. It's not a weekly. It's a packed thing. It starts off with 3 big profile-y type pieces. But then we get reviews. So there's a review of The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer. There's a review of the new Rick Bragg memoir. There's a review of a new book on praising the virtues of procrastination. Lisa Halliday's Asymmetry, another Buzz book, gets a review in here. Motherhood, The Solitary Twins. Emily Gould reviews The Sparsholt Affair by Alan Hollinghurst. Her own writing is hit or miss with me, but when she's on, she's really on. I'll have to hope that she's on there. Great. Catherine Bailey's book, Bringing the War Home, gets a review. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, fantastic. All right, Gene Seymour does a review of the new Negro, which I loved. Very good to see that get another review. But unfortunately, Leslie Jameson's book, The Recovering, which is a fantastic book about alcohol and alcoholism and intoxication and what it means and recovery, just a terrific book and brutally honest, is reviewed by Clancy Martin. In fact, I know I said I was going to read the table of contents, but I'm going to make a prediction, since the review is by Clancy Martin, that his review either starts with prose entirely about himself or quickly moves to prose entirely about himself and very seldom leaves the subject of himself for the whole course of what is ostensibly billed as a review. I'd be willing to bet that's the case. How does his review start? Okay, it's not the first letter, it's the second. It's the second word. When I was in suicidal phase in my life and hiding my alcoholism from my partner. Oh, wait, don't talk about the book. Oh, Clancy, really? OMG. I was also working on a book about love and deception because, I'm Christopher Hitchens. You got to work even through your problems, man. You're always working on a book. Hey. My editor at the time, with whom I had no doubt too intimate a friendship, recommended 2 books to me, William Styron's Darkness Visible and Al Alvarez's The Savage God. These are 2 terrific books that anyone, perhaps at an appropriately psychologically sturdy time, should read. But you can guess what happened next to me. Can you? Well, let's find out if he tells us. Within a month or so, I was in a psychiatric hospital recovering from a suicide attempt and getting sober. Nobody cares. You're a book reviewer. The book under review is not your life. any hope in the second paragraph, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. My suicide attempt obviously failed. This is not parody. And despite the fact that I had tried to quit drinking many times before, this was the first time it really stuck. I didn't take a drink for more than a year until I fell in love with another woman, and suddenly we were drinking together. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I have my issues with Clancy Martin. He is... he's all fizz and no gin, if you don't mind the inappropriate in that. It's just, Clancy, I didn't know. Forget about the review. Tell me more. Anywho, let's just go into the book. There's 3 things to look at here, and there are 2 of them that are boxes. So let's see. This first one is paperback. This is called, it's by Peter Norman Waj, and it's called Long Live Freedom, Trout, La Friends, and the White Rose. The world had been at war for 3 years in 1942 when a small group of students in Munich defied the authorities, distributing leaflets that challenged the German people to resist the Nazis. Heinrich Himmler personally ordered the arrest and execution of those responsible. Okay. And the White Rose, the woman who became known as the White Rose, was part of that mass arrest. But she escaped execution. Okay. All right, so this must be translated, right? Translated by D. Marie Bailey. Okay. All right. So this comes out in June. That gives me time to become a little less nonplussed. Then we do the first box here. Tiny little thing. Light as a feather. What have we got here? It's from Oxford. Oh, okay. This comes out in March, and it is the paperback release of Frank Holt's The Treasures of Alexander the Great, which we've seen on this channel before. Just a book about the storehouses of Alexander's plunder. So need not detain us. And then we've got this last box. This will be it for our little nosy through the mail. What is this? Oh my. Oh goodness gracious. Okay, this is the finished copy of something I think... Oh no, this is an April book. Good. Excellent. This is the finished copy of Colin Calloway's The Indian World of George Washington. Let's see. We'll do this the right way, the new way here, so that you can see what I'm talking about. That is the book. In this sweeping new biography, Colin Calloway uses the prism of George Washington's life to bring focus to the great native leaders of his time and the tribes they represented. In the process, he returns them to their rightful place in the story of America's founding. This book spans decades of Native American leaders' interaction with Washington, from his early days as a surveyor of Indian lands to his military careers against both the French and the British, to his presidency, when he dealt with Native Americans as a head of state would with a foreign power. Absolutely false. Using every means of diplomacy and persuasion to fulfill the new republic's destiny by appropriating their land. Okay, that's edging closer to the truth. By the end of his life, Washington knew more than anyone else in America about the frontier and its significance to the future of his country. And he owned more of it than anyone in the country. And he did it by secretly and overtly dispossessing the original inhabitants for financial gain. The Indian World of George Washington offers a fresh portrait of the most revered American and the Native Americans whose story has been only partially told. Calloway's biography invites us to look again at the story of America's beginnings and see the country in a whole new light. Okay. All right. Well, this is due in April, and we'll just have to see, won't we? We'll just have to see. I had the advanced copy of this. I sent it off to somebody who thought they might want to review it for Open Letters Review. So now I have the finished copy that I'll just review. I'll read it myself. And we'll see. We'll see if Washington gets a pass for this, as for almost everything else in every American history that's ever been written. He shouldn't. He was a lifelong enemy of the Indian world, and did his best to pauperize, dispossess, exile, and kill every Indian people that he encountered at every stage of his career. Anyway, so we have the Indian world of George Washington. That's Steve history, if ever there was any. Then The Treasure of Alexander the Great, which is not only a paperback release, but a double. And Long Live Freedom, about an incident in Heinrich Himmler's tattered career. And also the London Review of Books and book form, which will provide a great deal of reading enjoyment for yours truly. So that's it for now. I'm sure I'll be back, but I'll sign off now, and I'll see you later. Thank you, BookTube.